Good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Why the need for such a union? And I mean, the name, Flair SA also doesn't say union, but I get the gist of it. Yeah.
It absolutely doesn't, but it does say that we want to do things with flair, which is slightly different to most unions, I would say.
So tell us why you found the need to start a union that focuses a lot on equality and gender equality.
It was, as we were saying on your CBS's show on 702 on Wednesday, that there are so many injustices that are happening in the boardrooms today. Us as women are being discriminated against. Also, the gay community is discriminated against a lot in the workplace. There's a pay disparity between men and women in this day, 2019, as you can't believe. So we are just here to set things right, and we're focusing specifically on professionals and professionals that wouldn't necessarily belong to another union, and therefore we've seen the need in the market for something like this, where you can have a collective voice rather than stand alone. Because what we found, and I found it in a lot of my cases as well, is that what happens with, in general, is that a victim, whether it is a victim of discrimination, sexual harassment, whatever it may be, they're too afraid to speak up and say what had happened because of the fact that they might be targeted or victimized. And we've seen that in the news with a lot of recent cases. So it's exactly to provide for people in that type of situation, to give them a collective voice, to be their protection. Because if you are part of us, we will make sure that you are protected.
So where does Flair SA come into play here? How do you help?
We help with, you've already said most of the things, but if there's anything that happens in the workplace, if you just want some advice, we also have a career development leg, so we've got a two-pronged approach to our union. We don't only focus on the labour issues, but we also look at career development. So whether it is just advice that you need, or whether it is advice that you need on a labour issue, we will be there to assist you. And I think this is also not something that most unions do focus on.
Yeah. What are you finding, Ronelle? What are you finding these days? You've been in this business for a long time. You've identified the need for such a union. What are you finding most common when it comes to discrimination and inequality, be it man or woman?
I think it's the unconscious bias that is a big issue, because we don't even understand how big that problem is. One of somebody I'm not going to name, who is an HR manager, when approached about the pay disparity between men and women, she said, it is all right for men to earn more than for women. And how is that? How can that be right? And if that's a woman who is in HR, just think about...
Is this a big corporate we're talking about?
Big corporate, and how is this possible in this day and age? I mean, if you are doing the same work, people do not understand that they even have these biases subconsciously. And with that, it brings the need for people to look at this. And we felt that we are that organization to look at these issues.
Well, it's very interesting, because I'm also seeing here, yes, you said gender, you said sexual orientation, marital status. What kind of discrimination are we seeing there?
Well, it would be quite interesting to know that when a woman is married or unmarried, even for some men, there's discrimination that takes place. Interesting enough, let me focus on men for a moment. Unmarried men are paid less than married men. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It's true.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very interesting. And then just, more and more we're hearing about companies out there that say to their employees or put it in their contracts that they're not allowed to join unions. Just some advice or your take, and do you deal with those cases also?
Absolutely. We've had a number of queries since the union commenced in September last year that people say that their contracts say that they can't join. So what is important to know is the Constitution says that you have the right of freedom of association. And this right is underpinned in the Labour Relations Act. And it again says that no employer may withhold or threaten an employee to not belong to a union. So anybody and everybody is allowed to join a union and to become a member of a union, even if your contract says that you're not.
Even if it says, so you can't say, and they can't tell you, okay, you refuse to accept that part of your contract, so you don't get the job. That is a case they can bring to you.
It's a constitutional right.
Yes. Okay, so that is something that you would find. So just cost of this to be part of the union, obviously for you to be able to run, and where does somebody find you?
We've got a website, flairsa.co.za, Flair SA.co.za, and the cost for standard membership is R100 a month, and for youth membership, because we also have a youth federation, and that is R50 a month.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, good luck with the launch today.
Thank you
and
so
let's see
much.
what happens. I'd be very interested a couple of months from now to look at the kinds of cases and the success rate you've had with dealing with the cases
Thank you,
that come
Yuveka.
to you. That's Flair SA's co-chairperson, Ronel de Jager, the union launching today.